Brett Allen here, chatting with Daniel Kyri. Am I pronouncing the last name correct? Because when I go to watch interviews, people pronounce it so many different ways.
Yeah, I usually try to catch them if they pronounce it wrong, but it is Kyrie. That's right.
Well, perfect. Well, thank you for your time. I'm so excited to chat with you because we had the pleasure of chatting with you last fall for the upfront for the One Chicago kickoff. Fingers crossed that we're getting that this year with everything going on. But thank you for your time. I'm excited to chat with you. It's always a pleasure to talk to anybody from the One Chicago world. It's just so much fun. So thanks for hanging out for a little bit today. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Brett.
Well, we'll start out with a bit of a post-mortem here. We have a lot to discuss. As always, you left us all in a massive cliffhanger, and we're not going to talk about spoilers. But I have to ask, when you're working on these projects and these episodes, and you know it's coming, and then you know there's going to be a big break, do you find yourself as an actor or a storyteller riddled with anxiety, wanting to know what's going to happen next and where things are going to go? Or do you just sit with what you've got as a creative and just do the very best that you can?
You know, you must have talked to a lot of actors because it's a little bit of both of those things. I think, especially on a show like this, where the more time you spend, the more, there's always the level of investment when you are inhabiting a role for sure. But I think something happens specifically with a show that has been on air as long as ours has, you inevitably just become as much of a fan as our wonderful audience, and you become invested in other characters and the things that are happening with them. So for me, it's a little bit of I'm happy to have a break, and I'm happy to be, on hiatus and get to spend time with family and stuff like that. But yeah, there's a part of me that's like, the longer that I sit, the more I'm like, okay, like what's gonna go down? Like, I need that next script. So a healthy mix, I think.
Yes, I've often heard it referred to as not a drug, but something that you just constantly need because it's so addicting. And yes, I've talked to many people, fantastic, including yourself, many of your castmates from all the shows. And I get that vibe repeatedly, but I know it can change because every actor is different, right? You bring your uniqueness and your wonderful talent to the show, but it just, you left us in a lurch, man. We're all excited to see what's going to happen. And I didn't get to watch the last episodes until later because I was just busy with life. And then I try to stay away from social media because I'm certain you probably are aware there are a lot of Chicago Fire fan sites out there. There's a lot of groups, and they like to propose what could be happening. And it's just, I have to stay away from those because it sometimes gets a bit ridiculous. And I want to be like, hello, I just talked to this person. I think everything is going to be okay. So, well, it's a much well-deserved break. It's been fun to watch your character just change and grow over the seasons, and albeit your relationships with the firehouse or romantic, it's just fun to get to know you a little bit better in that regard. But I want to switch gears and talk about, because you have a lot coming up over the summer. You are taking a break, but you have brand new music that's coming out or has been released. And you're also participating in an event with the Paley Center later on in the summer, and your bunker gear is going to be there. I think people are excited about that. Let's talk about the music. And I know that you're a musician. I think we talked about this in short the last time we had the pleasure of chatting with you, but let's talk about it a little bit more, what you've been working on in that regard, music-wise, and what people can expect. Because I always find it fun, because it's probably something about you. Well, you post a lot about it on social media, but if people aren't on those outlets, they might not know that you're a musician and that you perform, which I think is really cool. Miranda does the same thing. And we went into an entire, she was one of the first that we spoke to a few years ago during the pandemic. And she's so talented, and you are too, but the music's exciting for sure. I think people are going to love it.
Yeah, it is something that has been a long time coming. I have, a background in music theater. I did that a lot growing up, and as well as being a part of the Chicago Children's Choir, because, as you know, I was born and raised in Chicago, so a lot of my extracurriculars took place there as it intersected with the arts. And language, literature, and music are sort of my first loves and my first guides into the world of art. And so it's always held, music especially for me lives in a very reverent place. And so that, meeting up with my own perfectionism has kind of delayed my own sort of public participation in the form of art in this way, meaning just releasing music from my own specific point of view and using my own artistic voice. It is something that is very exciting for sure. And it's something that I've taken my time with, because I want to make sure that as I introduce the world to that side of me, that they're getting a real authentic look at who I am. And my vibe is totally like R&B and like house music, which is has such enormous roots, significant roots in Chicago, where I'm from. So to have this music project, this EP, reflects those sounds that I grew up with, is something that's like really, really exciting, and I can't wait to release it. It's going to be late summer, so pretty soon. Be on the lookout for it.
Very much so. Very, very exciting. I'm ready for it. I think that's what makes this fun, is to be able to appreciate the art that you create on screen, but also off screen, because as you mentioned, and I think it's obvious to me, maybe not to some, but there's like a whole part of the creative process. And I think that is what is great. Well, let's talk about the Paley Center event. What can people expect for that? That's in New York, I believe. And
Yes,
let's get into that.
Yeah, so I am currently in New York now, actually, and tonight I get to go to this event that celebrates essentially the impact of characters, actors, and stories involving the LGBTQ plus community. Under the umbrella of tonight, at least, there is a panel for Will and Grace, which,
Yes,
enough for me, was some of the first queer representation I saw on television.
okay.
I'm really, really excited to be there and to say hi to those guys. But also, as part of this whole event, as you know, my bunker gear straight from set is on display at the Paley Center. So I get to go and kind of check it out. And anyone who is in New York until it goes until July 9th. So if you're here, come check it out and get a pic with the gear, and take a look at what we wear day in and day out, in heat and in cold.
Yes, and I've mentioned this before, and you all have as well. What you do on screen is very real. Like, that's not, you have some of the best people in the business, cinematographers, stunt coordinators in Chicago filming these scenes. Like, this is all very real. The trucks, the cold weather, it's not, I mean, some of it is on a soundstage, but what we see 99.9% is you really out there. So if you're in New York and you're watching this, go see our friend Daniel, check out the bunker gear. And as I wrap here, I have to say, when we spoke the last time, you or with your castmates, the Fab Three, as I like to call you all, and you all teased us with some very sticky situations, as Alberto said, and you were not kidding. Like, you all got into some heat, both literally and figuratively, this past season. And so it was fun to watch all that unfold. Well, congratulations on everything, Daniel. It's always a pleasure to talk to you and your castmates in this entire Chicago universe. if you're a writer, if you're a SAG member, we support you. Let's get this going, get people what they deserve so we can get more infinite seasons of Chicago Fire. How many seasons are you at now? This is like 10, 11, 12, 15. You're in competition right now with Grey's Anatomy as far as your run.
Our next season, which will be back on the network the same reliable time on Wednesdays, is in fact season 12 of
Wow. And you're the flagship show, so that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations, Daniel. Thank you for your time. Have a great rest of your day, and congratulations on all your success. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much for your graciousness and your time.
Thank you, Brett. Enjoy the rest of your day. This was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Thank you.